Hello friends, welcome to the Infologs YouTube channel. In today's video we will talk about how we can achieve the reading authentication JWT JSON Web Token authentication using the custom header. Okay, so first of all, why we need to read the custom token from the custom header. So there are few reasons that are available on the infologs.in, the latest article, reading the JWT token from custom headers. So here if you see, there are few reasons. By default, if you don't customize your header for passing the web token from the header, that basically it uses the authorization attribute, which is by default, right? So but there are few scenarios. Let's say I wanted to host my web application in the Windows authentication mode. In that case, your APIs are not gonna work even though you are passing a valid authorization token in the authorization attribute, because if you track all the request and response by enabling the Windows authentication in IIS, then you will find that the NTLM token is also using the same attribute that is authorization. That means the token will get eventually override by the IIS, right? So every time you pass your token, but the browser will pass the authentication NTLM authentication token to the server for the authorization of current Windows user with the Active Directory. That's why we should go for the custom header attributes if there is a requirement to host your application on mixed mode, that means with Windows authentication as well as on a JSON Web Tokens authentication process. So there is another way we can do that. So if you don't want to make the customization header, so you can host the token creation of in a separate web application, or and then the actual functionality, like if you talk about specifically in our application that we have created for the books, getting list of books from via API. If the token is validated, then you can host that much of part on the different web application, and then you can just turn off the Windows authentication on that. So this way only the person who is accessing who is gonna valid Active Directory user, that person only can get the token. Otherwise the rest of the users will not authenticate by the Windows authentication. So that doesn't seem technically correct, because I have to maintain two different web applications for a single thing. So to resolve the problem, so we have come up with the solution for custom header attribution, in which you can pass your own not your own, the header is your custom header, and you can pass the token in that header. So here you can see that the little bit text of NTLM and all that. And so the project that we are using, the same project that we have created in our earlier videos, or it can be specific in our previous video, right? So I'm not gonna go in depth, but for the persons who didn't watch our previous video, so for them just I'll give an overview of the application. So let me open that project first. So this is our whole ASP.NET Core demo project. So what I'll do first, so let me create the project first. If I create the project, I need to add a few dependencies as well, but never mind, it will take just 1 or 2 minutes. Or the persons who have already watched the previous video, they can skip this 2 to 5 minutes of video. So first of all, let me add a new project. add, and then new project, and then we'll go for the standard API project. So here web application, and then next, then JWT custom header. Okay, and then hit enter or click on create button. Then select the API project, disable the HTTPS, create. So there are few NuGet packages that we have to add, so just go ahead and see. For the standard, there are dependencies on authentication JWT bearer. This is the by default Visual Code designing, so we don't care about that dependencies. So just right click on and make your project as a startup, and then click on add manage NuGet packages. So just search for the JWT bearer. So here you'll see the first one. Always whenever you add a new NuGet packages, just check the dependencies. So if that dependency is on ASP.NET Core, then only you should add that package to your project. Otherwise you can go ahead and search for a specific ASP.NET Core NuGet package, and then OK, and then accept, and then it's successfully added. That's complete. Now what we are going to do, we'll copy some models. Sorry, cancel. Let me save this, close all the stuff, and then what we are going to do, we'll copy some models. Let me copy first, and then I'll explain what is that. So let me close this as well. Open up this project, and then we'll go on the previous project, that is the standard one, and then we'll copy the models to our project. Okay, so let's go back to the projects. They are automatically added to the project. Now here we have created a few models. As the name implies, this is the book model, which has the 3 properties. Then we have a login model, which has 2 properties, username and password. Then the project response, this returns the response to the requester, status code and the message if the token is invalid, and then the token expiration is token is expired. That kind of stuff will handle by this model. Then token response, if the token is if the user ID and password is successful, then we are returning the access token and expires in. We should also return the project response in that section, so we can inherit the status code and messages. The token is created successfully and the status code is 200, something like that. And then we have a user model and all that stuff. Okay, so how we can use this model, we'll talk about in a bit. Then what we are going to do, we'll add a few controllers. There are 2 controllers, one for go for the standard controllers. One is getting a list of books, and then second is creation of token. So I'll go ahead and copy that in our project. So yes, let's open up the token controller. So we have a method called create, and then this method has allow anonymous access. Then the location will be API token create, and then we are checking for the authentication process. If the authentication is, let me go ahead and authenticate. Yeah, if the username and password is Abhishek and Rockstar, this is hard coded. You can implement your database related codes in this method. Okay, and if that okay, so we are returning a user model, and if the user model is not null, then we go for the build of creation token. Okay, there are a few things that needs to include in our startup.cs, that is secret key and all that stuff. So we'll go ahead and check the startup.cs file. So I'll just open up this and just copy these 3 properties. So here in the startup, I have included the secret key for the signing of our token, issuer and the audiences. and then we should go ahead and add the service related configuration. So I'll just copy all the configuration in the service section. Okay, here is a very simple stuff. Let me import the required namespace, JWT, then HTTP status net, then JSON, evidence of JSON, then required namespace of model, provide async that is available in a system.net core HTTP, and this is for exception of tokens. So okay, and this is system.text for encoding. That's nice. So I think we have included all the stuffs. Let me give you an overview. This is a very simple thing. We have added the MVC options for the for serialization of object to return the XML as well as JSON data. Then we are adding the add authentication process with the bearer scheme, that is if we go and that this is a constant bearer, and then we are created the validation parameter, what kind of validations you want to do if someone sends the token to the server. So we need to validate the issuer, the audience, the lifetime, and the signature. Okay, and then in the events we have on authentication failed, so we are giving appropriate message whether the token is invalid or token is expired. According to the message will return to the end user. And then we have to register the app.use authentication, and now the startup.cs is completed. Let's go back to the okay, so here let me open up go man, let me check start start up dot. Why this is not getting linked up? Okay, so the namespace is wrong. So what is the namespace? JWT custom header dot controllers, and now we are getting it properly, right? The same way, now the token creation is successful. Just select all of this code and go for the bulb that gives you the okay. Now go for the box again, change the namespace to JWT headers, and then we don't need the extra namespaces which are not in use. Okay, what we are doing here is very simple. Just we have put the authorization attribute, that means this action method cannot be accessed without the token, and then here token we are just putting some logic. This is our in-memory collection, and on the collection we are returning the an array of books list. So now everything looks good. So we're done with the books token. We have also included the startup.cs. Okay, so now let's run this application and try to create a token on the specific URL using the Postman. So I'm gonna use the Postman for creation of the token. So I need to post it. So yeah, the server is up and running. Just copy this URL, api/token/create. We need to post the data. So in the body there will be raw data of type JSON. Then we have a username called Abhishek. Then we have password called, what is the password, man? ROCK, rock star. Okay, so we have content type application JSON. In the authorization we don't have anything. Now let's try to create it. Let's see. Yeah, the token is successfully created, and now let's try to access the server, then API, then books. Then here we have to pass the authorization token with the bearer. And what was that token? Just right click it and copy and paste here. Okay, and then we don't need to do anything, just hit the send button. We'll get a list of all the list, okay, or list of books. Okay, now let's try to hit here. Okay, but it will not gonna work. So what I'll do, I'll just stop this application and go for the launch settings that is available under the properties. And here what we are going to do is just enable the Windows authentication true and disable the anonymous, as we are running on the temporary that is IS Express. So it should see it is asking for the authentication. So here let me, okay, what I'll do here, what is my username, man, God. Okay, let me check my username properties. Okay, manage. Okay, it's a B-Sheet P3, but still I have to check the exact username, so I'll go for minimize this. I think there was some option where I can list. Let me disable this all stuff. Okay, let me try with the passwords. B-Sheet P3 and then my systems. No. Yeah, it took, but if you go and check for the network, let me click on all and make it at bottom side, weather forecast. Okay, so let me close this. Okay, run it again. Okay, then paste it. Let me go for the inspect, and then 127.0.0.1. This is my localhost, so it should ask for. Okay, best way to host this in IIS, so I'll just, it will take a short time. Let me open up the aesthetics, and then instead of IIS Express, I'm gonna launch IIS, and my application will be available on JWT custom header URL. Just save it and run it. Okay, let me stop the few other servers. Let's stop all services, and then IIS. Now make it start. Okay, so now just launch this application, so it should. Okay, so to run with the IIS, you have administrator privileges of your project, so just Visual Studio is getting restarted. sorry. Now just run the application. Build succeeded. So under the IIS, okay, default website is not started. So let me manage it and start. So here you can see that our application is installed. The application pool is also created, that is JWT header. And if you don't know how to host your application on IIS, then you can go ahead and check our previous video tutorials. So now everything is run. Let me click it again. Provisioning for IIS. And let's run it, man. So it will just take a few seconds more. It's configuring the first time, that's why. We can also go ahead and right click on your project and publish on the specific folder, so it will also work that way. So in that way you have to create a application pool and all that stuff manually. If you select the IIS and launch the IIS, so everything will get created automatically for you. That's why it's taking a little bit more time. So okay, so application is up and running. So here you can see that we got the unauthorized error. But why this? Okay, you are not authorized to view this page due to the invalid authentication header. So if you go in the project and here you select what is the authentication process. Okay, so we don't have installed the Windows authentication mode. So let me go ahead in the control panel. So if anyone don't know how to install the IIS, then they can just, let's see here. Very sorry. Okay, just open up your control panel and install, turn feature on off. And under the IIS section, select the web management tools. Okay, that is available. Everything is available in IIS. So what's the problem, man? Basic authentication, IP, request filtering. Okay, on my particular machines, I don't have access of Windows authentication. I hope that's why it's not showing me. Under the security, you'll see the Windows authentication, all that stuff. So not an issue. So just close it, just enable that, and let me manage and browse settings. Appreciate. And then API, and then okay, then okay. In short, what we are trying to achieve here. So I'm just wanted to prove that the authentication is also using the same attribute, that is authorization. See, as soon as you see the basic, as soon as I have enabled the basic authentication, so here you can see the basic authentication is also using the same attribute authorization. So that's why it will get conflict between the JWT bearer token and this basic or NTLM token. To resolve this problem, what we have to do, just use the custom attribute, so it will work as expected. So how we can do that? So let's do in the project now. So here in the startup.configuration, startup in the configuration method, you have to enable one event, that is on message received. Okay, so this is the event context, and then Okay, here what you have to do whenever anyone hits the request on the server, so first of all this event get executed. So here what we are getting, so if we are checking if context dot request dot headers dot contains a key of JWT token. If this token, if the key is available in the header, then in the var token equals context dot request dot headers of JWT token dot toString. We are reading that token, and then we are again checking, hey, a token it starts with the key, sorry, bearer, then only we need to read that token. Okay, and if the token is also starting with the bearer word, then in the context we have a property called token, and we are assigning that token to only token. We are subtracting the bearer keyword. So just read how many characters are there: 1 2 3 4 5 6 and the space 7, right? So we'll try to extract only token from the string and assign that token to the token property, and then we are saying, hey, my task is completed, and we are returning from this event. So everything works properly. Let me check, is it working async? So this is not gonna, okay, we need to check for the asynchronous work. Not an issue, it still work. So after adding this much code, now we have to pass our token in JWT section. So let's do that. So now I'm running the application. This is the code is submitted to the IIS. Okay, so now our URL will be like this. So from here, get this token, so API/books, and then instead of authorization, token. So what I'll do here, I'll put a breakpoint so we'll get to know. Send. Oops. Unauthorized. So now we have to make a request from the browser. See, we got this, but currently we are not getting that header in our project. So here we got a 404, right? And now in the IIS, I'll enable the anonymous code, and I'll restart this and try to access this again. So I should get a list of, okay, the token is expired, not an issue. We'll create it by sending token/create. So header, username and password has been sent to the, then copy this and paste in the, just paste. Okay, everything is okay. We didn't get anything. 404 not found. JWT API book. Okay, let's run this application. And then hit. Okay, we got it. Token. Oops. token is available. Okay, there are 2 requests, that's why it's working that way. So we got the token and then we are running it. So we received this service and then go, but we are not getting. So are we missing something or that? No, we don't. So let me go again. So now we have a single request. So we are saying, hey, token we received, we have assigned it, but we are not getting the list. So now it's time to debug the books controller. So we have said here. So let's make a request one more time. So this is perfect. Okay, one more thing that I have need to check, that is launch settings. So again I have to make it false and then make it true. Again submit this code and run up the application, and also check for the IIS whether it's still anonymous or authentication. Yes, it's still anonymous. And now try to access the list. Hit the breakpoint. Oops, that's the problem, buddy. 404 not found. Contacts and task completed. That's perfect. Books, that is also available here. Code base, JWT custom header, the controller is also available in a particular namespace. That is also correct. Sorry buddy, my mistakes. It's a box. Run. Hit. Yes, we hit the controller, and in the body section you'll see the list of. Okay, this way we can achieve both the Windows authentication as well. Okay, I'm sure this is tested on the Windows environment. So you just enable the Windows authentication on your machine and try to access the implemented code. So the browser will ask for the Windows authentication first, and if that authentication is correct, then the actual validation of token will happen, and that is gonna be successful. So this is how we can implement the custom headers in the JWT. So there, in summary, you have to make sure this small piece of code should be there in your startup.configuration method under the events of JWT bearer events, right? This is a simple thing. I hope you have understood how we can achieve this two authentication process in single application. If you have any questions, you can put into the comment section, as well as you can connect with us on the facebook.com/infologs and twitter.com/infologs.in. Okay, so yeah, thank you for watching. If you have any questions, just reach out to us. We're happy to help. Till then, keep learning. This is Abhishek Bedre signing out. Bye bye. Sorry.